Hello, good morning, Julia.
Good morning.
Okay, it seems like just both of us today. There was someone else on earlier. I'm not sure who that person is. I I don't have that person's name on my list, so I'm not sure if that person was actually a part of our class. But I'm not seeing him or her. I think he has left the room. I was holding on to 9:10 to see if there would be anyone else joining us. It does seem that way. So in that case, it's just both of us. So we'll just go through the questions again. I'll try to record what we're doing and then just if I can convert it in a way that it can get on detail, then I'll do so. So okay, so how has it been going for you so far? Have you been able to watch the video that we did yesterday?
I watched that. Yeah, I like that you're doing it that way better because then we go through it before, whereas it's kind of hard to learn. Like my other profs, they're going through the slides on Zoom, and it's kind of hard because some people will be talking, whereas I can actually hear what you have to say. So I like that you're doing it that way.
Okay. So is there anything that you went through the slide and you would like me to go back over and explain to you?
Not that I can think of, but maybe once we start going through
Yeah.
the questions, probably.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. All right. So did you try any of the questions?
No, I don't. I couldn't find. Like, did you post the questions for this week?
I think I did. Didn't I not? Let me check because I think I did. I don't know
Oh, I might just
if
not.
I post them at the wrong place or something, but let me just quickly check here that they're actually there. But I think I posted them as well yesterday. Let's just quickly see what I have. Section 13. Have you checked this morning or you checked yesterday and they weren't there?
Yesterday, yeah. I did it last night when I watched.
Okay, I'm checking right now. And I'm not seeing the question here, so you're probably right. Maybe I posted them somewhere else. Let's see. If I put them at the wrong place. Oh, you're not seeing them here either. All right, let me just quickly put them up as we are here right now.
Okay.
Fine. So these questions are also taken from your text if you have an available version.
Yeah.
It's taken from page 207, which is where we have problems for working capital and financing decisions.
Okay,
That's where those came from. I started with question 1 on page 207. But I should be able to just quickly find it here. Actually, they were posted. What am I saying? No, they weren't posted. It's not true. Yeah, it's posted now. So okay, so it's up now. So if you go on, you should be able to download the question.
Yeah, there.
Apologies for that. I'm not sure why. Just let me check quickly. If you give me a minute, let me just make sure that my other section that I've actually posted it for them as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was posted in the other section. So it was just your section. I wasn't posted there. Okay. All right, so we can get started then with the question. I'll just give you a minute to download and I'll probably read through the first question and then we just kind of like wrote the first one together. So we get started with that. Okay? So take a minute, read through the first question and then we work it together. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, Julia? Yeah. Okay, so it says bondage supply company expects sales next year to be 750,000. Inventory accounts receivable will have to be increased by $120,000 to accommodate this level of sales. So the company has a steady profit of 10%, steady profit margin of 10% with a 10% dividend payout. How much external funds will Bondage Supply Company have to seek? And assume there are no increase in liabilities other than which will occur with external financing. So this company is looking to increase sales to $750,000, and as I spoke about in the lecture, that in doing so, some of your current assets will have to be increased to accommodate this. In this case, it's telling us that there will be increase of $120,000 in receivable. So therefore, we first need to establish what will be available from retained earnings. Remember, you can finance this either through retained earnings or through raising equity, or it may be debt. So that debt could be long-term, short-term, or it could be equity, which would be considered a long-term form of financing. Okay, so we have supply, and we know that sales is going to be $750,000, right?
Yeah.
And we know that a profit margin is 10%. So that's 10%. So therefore, we know that net income is going to be 75,000. Agree?
Yeah.
And we also know that of that, dividends is going to be 30%. So 30% would be 22,500. So what we have left would be our increase in retained earnings, right?
Is it 225? Like, I think you're missing a zero, right? Oh, it's 30% of the net income. Never mind.
Yeah, 20% of 30% of net income is dividend. So it's 22,500. So we're going to take that from, so let's put a minus sign here, because we're taking that from our net income, and that will give us a portion that goes to retained earnings. So remember, we make this net income, so we put entire portion to retained earnings, and then dividend is paid from that. So therefore, the increase in retained earnings would be the difference between what's paid out to dividends and what left, right? So well, the difference between net income and what's paid out for dividends. The increase in retained earnings would be the difference between these two, and that would be 52,500. You follow me so far?
Yeah.
Okay, so this would represent how the portion that could be financed from retained earnings. So now, if we look at increasing assets, we have been $120,000, right? That's what we say accounts receivables would increase by. And if we take away, so let's increase in retained earnings. Okay, earnings of 52,500. Now that's a zero. We will find the external funds needed. Okay, so that's here as 6,500, and that represents external funds needed. I'm not able to write that there. So 67,500 represent the external funds needed. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so that wasn't too difficult, was it?
No.
All right. So I think the second question is similar. So I'm going to let you try that one and see what you get.
Okay.
Hello, Javier. Javier Singh. Hello, Javier. Are you hearing me? Javier, see?
I finished the question.
Okay, so what did you get?
I got that the external funds needed would be 40,800.
Okay, that's correct. So your answer is totally right. So you find your sales was 300,000, right? And then your profit margin of 8% would mean $24,000 in net income, right?
Yep.
And you then take away your dividends of 4,800, and you have your retained earnings of 19,200. So yeah, your answer is correct. 4800 is the required funding. All right, so let's move on to our third question, which is Carza Electronics expects to sell 500 units in January. Units in February, and what am I reading? 500 units in January, 250 units in February, and 1,000 in March. January beginning inventory is 700 units. Expected sale for the whole year are 7,200 units. Carza has decided on a level production schedule of 600 units. What is the expected end of month inventory for January, February, and March? Show the beginning inventory, production, and sales for each month to arrive at the ending inventory. Okay, I think you can take a shot at that. Do you understand the question? Would you like to make an attempt?
I'll try it and then.
Okay, all right. Hello, Piercing. Okay, I'm not sure who this person is, and this person is not answering, so I'm going to remove you from my list. If you are in this class, you have to at least recognize or answer your participate. So I have to know that you're part of my class. I have to know who you are because your name is not listed here on my list. So I'm going to remove you. So unless you can tell me who you are, you will be removed from this
Okay, so for ending inventory for January, I got 800, and then February I got 1,150, and then March I got 750.
Okay, those are good figures. That's very good. You got those numbers correct. So yeah, that's it. I think that's the entire question. Yeah, that's very good, Julia. All right, so given that, then we'll move to question 4, which has Madonna's cruisers sales scarves that are very popular in the fall winter season. Units sold are anticipated as follows. And we're given a number of units for October, November, December, and January. So if seasonal production is used, it is assumed that inventory will directly match sales for each month, and there will be no inventory buildup. The production manager that the above assumption is too optimistic and decide to go with level production to avoid being out of merchandise. He will produce 200 units, 200 items at a level of 5,000 per month. So what is the ending inventory at the end of each month? Compare the units sold to the units produced and keep a running total. You want to try that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I did part A, but I'm kind of confused at part B.
You're confused with part C. All right, that's okay. We'll take a look at it. So did you do part B?
No, I'm confused on part B, but I did part A.
Okay, what do you have for part A?
So part A, I have at the end of October, we have 3,000 units.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of November, 4,000. And then end of December, 1,000.
And then
And end of June.
at end of January, 0?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So that's fine. All right, so this question is a little bit a little bit harder to write on the board. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my an Excel page that I have with you, so you can see what my solution is, and I'll go through it with you. Okay, can you see that Excel page?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what you did for the first part, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. All right, so part B asks us to do, it says if inventory costs $7 per unit and will be financed through at 8% per year, what is the monthly financing cost and the total for the year? So what the question is asking is saying to you that this inventory that you'll be holding each month, it will have to be financed. So you'd have to borrow the money to purchase this inventory, right? And so each month, the amount that you have in inventory would what be financed by the bank. The bank will be financing at 8% per year. So because it's 8% per year, it will be 8% divided by 12 to get what the finance charge would be for each month. So here's my ending inventory, as you have 3,000 in October, 4,000 in November, 1,000 in December, right? So here's the cost for that inventory, because it costs $7 per unit. So you can see here, I could also just do total cost here as well. I'll just put, so we have a total. Okay, so that shows our total for the 3 months. And here is how we calculate the finance charge. So the finance charge would be the cost for the month, which in say October would be 21,000, and that finance charge would then be multiplied by 8%. But that 8% is 8% for the year. So therefore, we need the monthly amount. So it would be 8% divided by 12 multiplied by 21,000, and that would give us $140 for October. You follow me so far?
Yep.
So for November, again, a bit similar. We have the number of closing units, and we calculate the cost for those units based on $7 per unit. And then we find the finance charge, which again would be the 28,000 that we need to finance multiplied by the finance charge per month, which is 8% divided by 12. And so we have 186 for the month of November. And then for December, we get $46.67. And so that will give us a total of 373.33. What would be our finance charge for the period. Okay, follow me so far?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm also going to put this spreadsheet up along with Word the solutions in Word, but I'll also put the spreadsheet up. So you guys can go through the spreadsheet and see how the calculations are being done. Okay?
Yes.
All right. So that's question 4. That's question 3, right? Question 4. Yeah. Was there another part? No, that's question 4. So now we move on to question 5, which is Bambino Sports Goods make exceptional gloves that sell well in the spring and early summer season. A projection for units sold is as follows. So we have the number of units sold, and then it says if seasonal production is used, it is assumed that inventory will directly match sales for each month and there will be no inventory buildup. But the production manager thinks the above assumption is too optimistic and decide to go with level production to avoid being out of merchandise. He will produce 30,000 units at a level of 750 per month. All right, so again, we are asked to find what is the ending inventory at the end of each month, compare with units sold to compare the units sold to the units produced and keep a running balance. So it's similar to the first part of question 4. Question 5A is similar. In fact, the entire question is a similar question. So let's see you try this one and see if you're able to do both A and B. Okay, Julia?
Yeah. Okay, I got that the ending inventories for every month is 4,500, 5,000, 1,500, 0. And then
Yeah.
for the total finance amounts, I got 330,000.
330,000?
Mm-hmm.
No, that would be too high. Okay, so what did you get for, okay, so you have the ending inventory of 4,500, 5,000, and 1,500, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the cost per unit of 90,000, 100,000, 30,000. Did you get that? So not per unit, but the cost for the inventory for each month. What did you get for the cost for the inventory for each month?
90,000,
Yeah.
100,000,
Yeah.
30,000.
Okay, that's good. So therefore, so yeah, okay so far. So the error would be in your calculation of the finance charge. So how did you calculate the
Wait,
finance charge?
is the final answer 221,100?
No. So it's pretty small. It's like, okay, let me just show you here. We're gonna have another spreadsheet here. So here we go. So can you see my spreadsheet?
Let me look.
Are you seeing it?
Oh, yeah.
So here we are, right here. So you see for March, it would be only $450 because we are taking this 90,000 and it will be finance will be 6% per year. So because it's 6% per year, we'll divide that 6% by 12 and then multiply it by the finance by the 90,000. So that would be only $450.
Yeah,
So,
but the total finance is the 221,100 then. If you add both, right?
Okay, so what did you get for March? Did you get $450?
No, I got that, but I mean,
okay, so we're not financing. Remember, we're not calculating the entire value of the entry. What we're calculating is just the finance charge, the interest charges that you will pay to the bank. So if you okay, so let me break it down a little bit. If you get a loan from the bank,
yeah, I get it. It's okay, I get it.
Okay, you get what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, I just added them.
Oh, okay. No, we're not adding them. We're just finding what the interest charge is. So you get a loan for $90,000. Bank is going to charge you $450 for that month to keep that for that $90,000. Only $450. So that's all we are finding.
Yeah.
So for the first month, it would be $450. The second month, it's going to be $500 for the 100,000. So what we're doing in this, we're making the assumption that you're able to match the finance charge with how much you actually need. So, well, you match the loan with how much you actually need. So in March, you need to borrow $90,000. So you only borrow $90,000. In April, you need to borrow $100,000. So you only borrow $100,000. So it could be that in March you borrowed $90,000. Then in April you would need to borrow $10,000 more to bring it up to 100,000. And then in May you would be pay off that loan and you would only need to borrow 30,000. So you pay 70,000 off and now your loan balance will be 30,000. So you're paying just on that loan balance. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So your total should be $1,100. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, so again, I'll put this up so you'll have it. So you can you can take it and go back to it if you. Okay. So let's move to question. Let's move to question 7. Last question 7 in the book, but on our sheet it's question 6. So let's move to question 6. So question 6 is a little bit longer. It's going to take you some time to go through it. I'm going to let you go through it, read it, and go through it and see. And then we'll go through it together.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so it's front page video games, right? So here's my part A. So we start with a beginning inventory of $20,000 in January, of 20,000 units in January, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're using leveled production. So our production would be 11,600. And how do we find that? We found that
sales.
by adding the sales, right? So we know sales is 696,000. So then we find the total number of units per year. And by dividing that 696 by the sales price per unit of $5, and from that, then we find the 11,000 by dividing the 139,100 units that will be produced for the year by 12. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's how we found that. And then, so then we find the inventory for ending inventory for January. And of course, ending inventory for January will be the opening inventory for February. And so we just work our way through that using sales and the different inventory. So this was what you received for your total.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, good. So you want to try the second part now?
Okay.
All right, so for the second part of a question, it says prepare a monthly schedule of cash receipts. Sales in December before the planning year were $100,000. And of course, it says work partly in dollars, but if we're going to do receipt, then we have to work it in dollars, right? Okay, so let's show cash receipt. All right, so here is our cash receipt. It says of each month's sales, 30% are cash and 70% are an account. All accounts receivable are collected in the month after sale is made. So first we started by putting our sales for each month as was given in the question, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then it tells us that 30% of that sale will be collected in the month of sale. So 30% of January's sale will be collected in January. So we just take in 30% of this number of 95,000. We take 30% of it and we get 28,500. Equally, we take 30% of February's sale and we get 26,400 and so on. And we just do the same for each month. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Now, it says 70% of the prior month's sale will be collected in the current month. So in January, we'll be collecting 70% of December's sale. And it tells us that December's sale was 100,000. So therefore, we'll be collecting 70% of 100,000 in January. And so that represents $70,000. In February, we'll be collecting 70% of January's sale. So we take in 70% of 95,000 to give us our number of 66,500. Equally, in March, we will be collecting 70% of February's number to give us 61,600 and so on. Okay, you follow that?
Yeah.
All right, and so that gives us total cash receipt because we have these two. For January, 98,500. For February, 92,900. For March, 67,000, so on. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So you want to try do the cash payment schedule?
Sure.
Okay. If you run into any difficulty, just let me know, or if you get too tired, because I know it's a pretty long question, but this question, I think it's a good question because it brings in so many different parts. You know, if you go through it, it's a good question for you to be able to understand this area clearly.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to show you mine so we see if we have similar numbers, okay? So here's my payment schedule. It says, according to the question, it says, determine payment schedule for January through December. The production cost of $2 per unit are paid for in the month in which they occur, and as a cash payment, decide those for production costs are $40,000 per month. So $2 per unit for our $11,000. So therefore, we were paying $23,200 each month, right? And then we have another cash payment of $40,000 that we also pay each month. So pretty much every month we pay $63,200. Okay, that's what you get?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we have one section, which is the cash budget. You want to try that one?
Yeah. Okay, I messed up on the payment schedule though.
Yeah, you messed up on the payment schedule.
Yeah.
What did you miss?
I used the wrong number for the units.
Oh, you used the wrong number for the units. Well, there should be 11,600 units because that's what's produced a month.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to try the cash budget, or you want us to go through it?
Let's just go through it, I guess.
All right. So here is the cash budget. So the first thing we have here is our cash flow, and this number here represents the difference between our inflow and our outflow. So for the month of January, our inflow would have been 98,500, and our outflow would have been 63,200. Okay?
Yeah.
So the difference between those two would give us 35,300, and that was the positive because our inflow was greater than our outflow. Our inflow being 98,500, outflow 63,200. So we have a positive difference of 35,600. So that's our first number. And we have a beginning cash balance of 500 because that's what the question told us, right? It says the beginning cash balance is 500, and that is also the required, the minimum desired. So that's the minimum desired. So also what it means is that we hold a minimum cash balance of 5,000. So if we have less than 5,000 cash, we will go out and borrow the difference to make sure we maintain a minimum cash balance of 5,000. Okay? So considering that, we have beginning cash balance of 5,000, and we have a net of inflow and outflow of 35,500. Therefore, our cumulative cash balance would therefore be 40,000. The sum of 35,300, 5,000 would be 40,300. So that's a positive number. So there will be no need for a loan. So these two cells would be 0. There will be no need for a loan, and since there's no need for a loan, there will be no cumulative loan. So it would also be 0. So our ending cash balance would be 40,300. Following so far?
Yes.
All right. So this number here in January, our cash outflow, again, would be the difference between the amount received, the inflow in February of 92,900 and our $63,000 outflow. So that gives us 29,700. So we have a beginning cash balance of 40,300. So therefore, our total cumulative cash balance is now at 70,000. So there would no need for a loan, and that would therefore also be our ending cash balance of $70,000. And that ending cash balance of $70,000 in February will become our opening cash balance in March of $70,000. And our inflow versus outflow number, well, inflow was $67,000 for March, 67,600, and outflow was 63,200. So our cash flow for March would be 4,400. So with that 4,400 and our beginning cash balance of 70,000, we have a cumulative cash of 74,400. Again, there will be no need for a loan. So therefore, our ending cash balance would be 74,400, which will become the beginning cash balance in April. In April, we only have inflow of cash of 20,000, so that's our cash receipt, and the outflow of cash would have been 63,200. So therefore, our cash flow would be negative because the outflow was greater than the inflow. So it will be a negative amount of 43,200. We have a beginning cash balance of 74,400. So therefore, our cumulative cash balance in April would be 34,200. So there will still not be no need for a loan. So we therefore have an 0 for loan and 0 for cumulative loan, and our opening cash balance, closing cash balance would be 31,200. And May, we would open with 31,200. So our cash flow for May would be 43,700 because we would have only bring in 18,500, and we would make payments of 63,200. So we have a negative cash flow of 44,700. Considering our opening balance of 31,200, we now left with a negative cumulative cash balance of 13,500. So therefore, we are going to need a loan. So the loan will have to be cover our loan amount that we will need, our deficit amount. So our loan will cover our deficit amount, and it will also need to be cover our required ending cash balance. So our required minimum cash balance is 5,000, Therefore, our loan will have to be 18,500 so that we can cover the deficit of 13,500 and the minimum cash balance of 5,000. Okay, you following me so far?
Yeah.
Okay, so that gives us $18,000 for the loan. And since that's the first time we are borrowing, the cumulative loan will also be 18,500. So now our ending cash balance in May would be $5,000, and that would be what we take over to June as our ending cash balance. Sorry, as our beginning cash balance. In June, again, we have only 19,500 as inflow, and outflow will be 63,200. Therefore, we have a negative cash flow of 43,700. We have a beginning cash balance of 5,000. So our cumulative cash balance would be a deficit of 38,700. So we will need to again go finance that deficit. So we have to go borrow some more funds. So the amount we borrow would be to cover the deficit of 38,700 and the minimum required balance of $5,000. So therefore, the number would be 43,700. So the 43,700, when added to our previous loan balance of 18,500, means that we now have a cumulative amount of loan of 62,200. Okay?
Yeah.
Right. So now we have our minimum cash balance again of 5,000. Again, in July, we have cash flow of minus 30,200 because we only cash inflow was 53,000 while outflow was 63,200. So we have a deficit, a negative cash flow of 30,200. We add to that, we will add our 5,000 open balance, and we have a deficit of 25,200 for our cumulative cash balance. So we therefore have to finance this 25,200 again, and as well as make sure we have our minimum cash balance of 5,000. So therefore, we will need to borrow more loan, and this time we will need to borrow 30,200 to cover our deficit of 25,200 and maintain our minimum balance of 5,000. So we borrowed 30,200, bringing the total amount that we have borrowed up to 92,400. And so we continue in March with a negative amount, in August with another negative cash flow as outflow was greater than inflow. And when we add our 5,000, we are down to 18,200 as a deficit. So that's what we will need to pay off plus maintain our 500. So we borrowed 23,200. So our loan balance then jumped in August to 115,600. In September, we also have a negative cash flow because our outflow was once again greater than our inflow. We have outflow of 43,000 and inflow of 63,200 and inflow of only 43,000. So our deficit 20,200. When we add our 5,000 to that, we have a cumulative deficit of 15,200. So we need to borrow 20,200 so we can pay off this deficit of 15,200 and maintain our minimum balance. So that would that pushes our loan balance to $35,800. Again, in October, we have outflow being greater than inflow. So we are at 44,200. We add our 5,000 opening balance. So we are now down to $800 in terms of a positive number. All right. But we need to maintain our 5,000 cash balance. So because we need to maintain our 5,000 cash balance and we only have 800 as a cumulative cash balance, we need to go out and borrow 4,200 so that we can maintain our 5,000 cash balance. So that 4,200 would push our total loan amount up to $140,000. So November is the first month that since for the last 6 months or so that we didn't have, that we know we're having, we're inflow greater than outflow. So inflow is 86,000, outflow 63,200. So we have a positive cash flow of 22,800. We have our minimum cash balance of 5,000. So we now have 27,800 as our cumulative cash balance. So we only need to maintain $5,000 as our minimum cash balance. So because of that, we can pay off a portion of our loan. So we can pay off 22,800 and still maintain 5,000 as a minimum cash balance. So we reduce the loan amount by 22,800. So loan amount falls to 117,200, and we are able to maintain our 5,000 cash balance. So in December, inflow again is greater than outflow. Inflow of 105,400, outflow of 63,200. So we have 42,400 as our cash flow. To that, we add our 5,000 minimum balance. And we now have a cumulative cash balance of 47,200. So again, we only need to maintain our 5,000 cash balance. So we pay off 42,200 of the loan, and the loan balance falls to $75,000. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything in there that you missed, that you didn't understand how I get that number, why I do that?
No, I get it, I think.
Okay. So you will have this, I'm going to put this up as we finish